morning! What a wonderful little place. And if I look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards, that's probably because I have been. 8 hours out yesterday with the waterfalls, uphill, down dale, and it kind of wiped me out. So I had a few hours sleep last night. And I've come to more waterfalls today. I'm parked at, I think it's Quinpaw, maybe. And I'm looking to do the 4 waterfalls walk. I wasn't going to do it. I was going to do Clydach Gorge. But the roadworks around there are horrendous. And I couldn't find a sensible place to park. And a sensible sleepy spot. So I'm on the walk, no idea where these waterfalls are. But I saw this. No, it's hardly a waterfall. It's just a little trickle coming down off the hill. But I quite like it. It's kind of sort of fairy grotto-ish, I think. What appealed was the ferns sort of acting as a bit of a doorway or a bridge. And it comes down in a wiggle. It goes left, then right, then left, then right. And I quite like that. Lots of greens. There's a few brown leaves, nothing major. So the leaves are starting to turn down here, but they're not there yet. So I'm still just using the fconcept filters. And the image I got was f10 and 2 seconds. And ISO 100. And I quite like that. I say it's nothing startling. It's just a nice image. It's quite calming. So it's a good start. We're heading that way. If you're thinking of coming here, wear your boots because it's muddy. It's very rocky. It's not really suitable for buggies and things like that. And you need to be fairly able because there's a little bit of scrabbling over tree roots. But other than that, so far it's quite a decent path. Catch you when I find a waterfall. I'm sure there's one along here somewhere. I was beginning to think I'd never find any. But I have to say, after an hour, maybe a bit more of walking, I'm not impressed. Yes, it's a nice fall and you can walk behind it, but no, for photography purposes, I'm really not impressed. I would say that the Taylbont forest yesterday was far better. Very, very steep steps to come down. Ridiculously steep. But I needed the exercise, so it's not all bad. So what I'm thinking is the long shot, using that as the background, these rocks, these little eddies coming through here, possibly going back as far as these, because I quite like those. Some lovely colours in the rocks. Yeah, I think we'll do for that. I'll get set up. Before I start shooting the main fall, which could be a mistake because there's now a group of kids about to go skinny dipping, I was looking around for some abstracts and I think I found something I quite like. I'm just running a... Yeah, that's not long enough, that's not. What was that? Ooh, 64 seconds. Let's up the ISO because otherwise we'll be here till flipping Christmas. That one. Try 250. Yes, as I was saying, I was looking at abstracts and this curve here, this wiggly line, kind of caught my eye with the water whooshing off after it. I'll show you what we're shooting. It's going to be easier than to try and explain it. So you see this curve. I quite quite liked that, so I've tried a couple of different compositions. That leaf's marvellous. I've tried putting this bit right in the bottom left-hand corner, so kind of like that. Wasn't quite so happy with that. So I've got it almost on the half. I'm shooting to that bit and just that bit. And I quite like the whoosh of the water. I worked initially just with the polarizer, which was giving me I think I got it to a second. Now I've popped the 10 stop on. I'm not sure. I quite like the underexposed one, to be fair. 96 seconds. Yeah, I don't dislike that. It'll do for a start. Got naked bodies up there. My God. It's chilly in that water. But I quite like the fact that this leaf is there, and it must be welded to that rock, because that water's going over at quite some rate of knots. Right, let's have a go at doing the main event. After a little bit of jiggery-pokery, I've kind of got a composition I'm happy with. Essentially, it's that, but there's just a little bit more foreground in down here, I think. Memory like a sieve. Yeah, there we go. There's a little bit of autumn colour, but not a lot. And we've got the water flowing quite nicely. We've caught this bit and the falls. Now I've swapped out and put the Lee filters on now, simply because I wanted the 6 stop. The 10 stop was too much, so the 6 stop is just enough. But what I am going to do is swap out and do a shorter exposure, so I get a little bit more motion down here. At the moment it's that lovely blur that I like, but I'm going to try it on a shorter exposure with just the polarizer to capture some motion in this bit and some motion in that, and then at home in Photoshop, if I want to, I can mix and match, because I must admit that looks fairly impressive falling. So if I can capture that in a shorter shutter speed, I think that would look quite good. It's all a case of playing around in it. It is. There will be some cloning to do, because this bunch of people was stood behind there while I was shooting. I might just take another shot. I'm on 25 seconds. Oh, remember to turn the camera on. 25 seconds, f10, ISO 100. I've done a focus stack. I don't think I need it, but I've done one just to be safe, where a focus here and a focus there. The peaking highlights were telling me that everything was sharp. I just wasn't convinced. I quite like it. Quite like it, I do. Not convinced. I'm just going to take a blank. I'm going to drop the tripod down slightly, because this tree, this branch, is just getting in the way. If it was slightly higher up, I think it would feel less uncomfortable, or more comfortable, whichever way you put it. So I'm going to drop the tripod down. I've got 2 legs extended at the moment, so I'm probably going to drop it down to 1 and see if I can just move that out of the way. Other than that, I don't mind the composition at all. But I'm quite keen to try the different shutter speeds. So I'm going to drop it down. No, I'm not. Before I drop it down, I'm going to do a shorter shutter speed with just the polarizer, so I can blend it when I get home. Then I'm going to drop it down and do a long and a short exposure. It might look rubbish, but you never know. I love the way that water is falling. And part of me wants to capture it and the motion in it, and the other part of me wants to blur it. Ah. determined to make the most of my time down here. I've now got out the big guns. We've gone for the 70 to 200. I've gone back to using the K&F polarizer because I don't want the 6 stop on or the 10 stop. And I'm just shooting, make sure I'm pointing right, at the very top of that section of the fall. And there's a tree above it that's just hanging over it that's kind of got a bit of colour in it. The polarizer, whilst it's darkening this area and that area, is actually bringing a bit of colour into that, which is great. And I'm getting about half a second, a fifth of a second, which is just blurring the water very slightly. I've also done a shot where the water isn't blurred, or not blurred as much. You're going to get some blurring with the polarizer on if you don't up the ISO, etc, etc. But I quite like that. I think that's a little bit different. I was determined I was going to get more than one shot when I was down here.